How are you all doing, Ralphy? Ralphy Customs. We're going to do a brake job on the old night train. So, we're in for a proper brake job. We're going to take the calipers off, both front and back. And we're going to check them, reseal them. I don't think that front one needs resealing. But anyway, we'll inspect them. There is signs of leakage on the rear one, so that'll be interesting. And we're going to put them back together with new pads, new seals, and make up a new brake line. We're going to get rid of the existing. They do like a solid. Look, it's under here. I can't show you that, but it's under this fucking cover. It's a solid brake line that runs into the brake light switch, and then goes into this, and they break down inside and clog up and fucking start working. So we're going to put a stainless braided Goodrich style brake line on. First thing we need to do is undo the pins that hold the pads. I've already cracked them undone, and they're a quarter double hex, so 12. You need a 12-point socket, a quarter AF, and just have them pins out. Look, whoever put them in it has done me the grace of putting a bit of copper slip on there. Look, it's fucking hell, it's a bit fluffy on there. That one's got a bit of a can dog going on. If you know, you know. We'll get these out, and that'll let us drop the pins out. I can't really do it one-handed, so you can join me as I get a bit further. There's the outside pad out. You can get to it. You can get to the top edge of this and use a pin punch or a small drift or similar to just knock it back until you expose the mounting hole, and then you can get a grip of it and pull it out. Then what I do is get a fucking big fuck off pry bar in there and give it a bit, just flex it a bit. Don't go mad like, you know, but just give it a bit of spring action, and what that'll do is free up the piston unless it's proper seized, and that should allow you to then remove the inside pads, which are really fucking difficult to film, but you can see it through the crack there where my finger is. Look, that's the edge of the pad, so we will endeavour to pop that out. That is fucked. And then we'll go in again with a pry bar down inside. If I can get in. I'm not sure I can get in with this one, but that's the method. We'll try and get in with a pry bar to push that piston back while it's held firm, while the caliper's still held firm. If I can't get in, which I probably can't, with this solid back wheel, well, near as fuck solid back wheel, then I won't bother. I'll just stay on the bench. So now we can unloosen these, and it should give us enough wiggle room to have the fucking caliper on the bench. Right, before I proper rip it apart, I'm going to do a quick demo. Because if you're just changing the pads, then you wouldn't be taking everything off. But what you need to do is remove the cover off wheel off this front master cylinder. Pardon me. Like, come on, motherfucker. Why? The longest screws in the world. So I need to undo all of that. Unbelievable. Here we go. Get that off and out of the way, and then get yourself a chunky monkey fucking screwdriver and just swap hands. down inside. Yeah. And give it a bit of lever action, because we want to push them calipers back the best we can, don't we? So don't be afraid to just gently but firmly pry off your disc. You won't hurt your disc unless you fucking go at it like there's no tomorrow. And then if the camera will pick it up, in that gap there, look, to the right you can see that's the edge of the piston, and we need that to retract, so we'll get a big pry bar and push it in. And if it's not seated, then that should go back, and should give us enough room to put the new pads in, which are here. Now, if you look at the top profile, you'll see that one's got a square edge and no pointy bits, and they're a little bit different. I'm guessing that one represents that one, and that one represents the other one. So it's worth noting the pointy ones go on the inside, the bits with the horns on go on the inside of the caliper, and the bits without go on the outside of the caliper. And then it'd just be a case of using a pin punch through the holes, something similar to that, and sliding the pads in, and then getting the pins in with a bit of fresh copper slip. Checking your fluid's not gone up too much and sorting that out. And Bob's your auntie, but we're not doing that, we're going to take it off. So, like I say, I'm going to undo these mounting bolts and undo this banjo bolt. And hopefully there's enough wriggle room now the pads are out to get it out without taking the wheel out, because I don't really want it. It's also worth noting these are actually 10mm double X. So these retention pins for the pads are quarter. If I can show you on the socket, look, quarter double X, so 12-point socket. I've had to machine the outside of that one down to fit in. And we've actually got a 10mm double X for the remaining retainers. I can't get on that properly. Oh, there we go. I've cracked it open with a spanner. I'm not completely rough as fuck. So I'll have them undone. And they'll come out and get cleaned up and have some copper slip on them, ready for when they go back in. Big one at the bottom, easy to remember because it will stick out a long way on the top. And just undo that final bit on that. She's probably going to want to fucking drip brake fluid all over me. And now I'm hoping there is enough wriggle room to pull the caliper out, which there is. I've just had it, but it's really fucking awkward with one hand. So up and out, kid. There we go. So we're gonna have it on the bench, and what I'm actually gonna do is split it. I'm gonna undo these two bolts and get it in its two halves. So we're gonna have these out. I've unloosened them, already cracked them off, so the whole lot's not just throwing itself around the fucking bench while I'm trying to do this one-handed to demonstrate. And there we go. And someone's ate a rag at some stage. Look, that's not normal. Stuck in between the two halves, look. But apart from that, we're good. Seals don't look bad. They're not fucking leaking at all. And there's very little evidence of that leaking, so I'm not going to pop them out just for the fucking sake of it. What I'll do, I'll push them in as far as they go. I'll change those seals. Give everything a clean up with the old brake cleaner. Okay, so we've got this all cleaned up. We've actually held in the pistons in with these two G clamps or C clamps, whatever, depending where you're from. And I'm just giving a very, very light tickle over with this really fine stone, just to make sure there's no nasties. And then I'll give it another blast with the old brake cleaner. Give everything a good rub down. Like so. Before I'm going to hit it with the airline and blast these out to make sure there's no shit in there. It's gone in while I've been cleaning. That'll just blow the crap back out of there. We're going to bleed it through anyway, so you just don't want to block any passageways up. And make sure that we've got a nice seat for the shiny new O-rings that are here in this bag like that. So quick last fucking spray. The old brake cleaner. Just fucking blow off. And out, little blowing one. Blows out the other. And let's then red out. Give this one the same treatment. We'll drop these seals in those halves. Take the clamps off, obviously. I'll drop the seals in those halves. Put a bit of copper slip on these two bolts and then put them back together. Right, they're pushed in. They go just, they sit just above the surface, if that'll focus. Yeah. And then the other half corresponds thus. We can eyeball down the holes and get these in place, and you don't use any grease, any sealer, any fuck all, just those O-rings. Although I do copper slip my bolts because I want the next bloke to have the benefit from that when he comes to strip it and service it. So we'll send these gently, because I can't hold it, can I? And then I'll sweeten them up properly, and that's ready to go back on the eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed I put this bolt in the bottom hole. It don't belong in the bottom hole. One of the mountain bolts has the privilege of being the final clamp up bolt. Sorry, so it goes through the bracket, through the caliper, and holds it all together. So that's that. Put it back in where it belongs, and I can't get this bolt in one-handed, can I? You know, it's just not going to happen. So I'll get our bolted back on, then we'll make up. We'll strip off actually. We'll undo this Torx fitting, and we'll undo the front banjo valve fitting. And righto, that's all back on. I will slip the pads in as I showed a reverse of the removal that I showed, which I didn't show very well, but you get it. You just slide the pads in, put a pin punch or similar through, just to help you hold them in place, get a pin in, get the other pin in, fucking Bob's your jolly old. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to replicate this but in stainless braided hose. So I'll use this as a template for the length. I'll just follow the way along it goes to the end. Look at it spreading its fucking stuff out. We'll get it cleaned up and make a couple of ends on some Goodrich. Righto, so got brake fitting holding the soft jaws, and I'm just using my Bernard parallel pliers. Look like a fucking dinosaur, don't they? Chameleon head they look a bit like. Just to squeeze the end of this up, ruffle it back into shape from where I've cut it off with the tin snips I use to cut brake line. Works wonderfully. Gets through it all quite happily. Right, now I'm going to work that brass ferrule, I guess it's called, is it? Nipple, ferrule. Anyway, I'll get that worked on without trapping any braided hose. That's the idea. So just ping it across the workshop. I'll retrieve that and get it on properly. Right. So we've retrieved said ferrule, and now we're just making sure it's pushed on as far as I can fucking do it, And now we'll start the nut. And the gland, we'll make up the gland. It's a bit of a faff with this. This plastic coated shit it seems to fucking put up more of a struggle, you know. It's not as flexible, obviously, as regular stuff, regular stuff is a bit of a faff in its fucking self. So we'll nip that up. We won't go absolutely fucking bonkers with it, because we might need to tweak it to get the ends pointing in the right direction. So we'll just snug it up. I'll have that out. And then it will go on and repeat with the other fitting on the other end. So we're all in place there. We're just, the hose is done, the line. I'm just going to connect up the brake light wires. I'm just extending the originals with some spades. They have a socket that goes over. I've not got it here now. It's not to hand. Where the fuck have I put that? I don't know. It's here somewhere. But they have a socket that goes over the original brake light switch, and obviously we've removed that now. So I'm just extending the wires down. I've got these. I like these little ends. I crimp them on and then solder them on, and then they have their own little bit of silicone. And same with the male counterpart, only I'll put a little bit of E-shrink on there just to tidy it up, and they'll do it.